I really need it.
Well, it's because all the good deals happen at I don't know, 3:00 in the morning when people are still sleeping and such, and then you wake up and you're like, I missed the TV.
Wait, are we live?
We're
live. Allison keeps doing this to us.
Well, it's because you did it. How many times have you done it to her?
Right, this is just karma.
Okay, I am going to just advertise live.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. I'm Allison, and welcome to my weekly Meltdowns coverage of Amazon Day. And Allison drinking so much water, she might actually die on camera today. No, we're doing live feeds week 3 of Big Brother 22 All-Stars. How's everyone doing today?
I'm doing good. I will say that I've seen a lot of stuff online about this season's canceled after this week. This season's done. And I am here to make the official pitch that it is not. It's a very exciting game and setup that we have here. And I've created a graphic to go over everything because I feel like I have the whole house and the whole rest of the season figured out. And it's a very impressive alliance structure. Is it exciting to see all of our fan favorites go? No. But I will say I am impressed with what I'm seeing from the winners of this season. Beth, how are you doing?
I'm doing really well, and to be perfectly honest with you, I'm sorry, I'm just also still tweeting out, so I might apologize.
Okay. Go ahead.
I am upset that the people I wanted to do well are seemingly getting targeted first or could be targeting coming up. But we often forget there is a lot of things that could happen. David might just dig a hole so deep that people forget about Davon and Bailey and Kaser that who knows? People just might go way against that.
Right. Allison, I know you shared with us a clip earlier of David, and you have your fly swatter ready, so let's hear it about David.
I have so much water today. I don't know if I can get through this without burping or peeing everywhere. I can't get too excited. I'm peeing like crazy. I'm like a camel. I might get excited. Isn't that what holds a lot of water?
And it's home.
I don't know that about camels, but sure.
Yeah, they store water in their humps.
There's so many people I'm canceling.
Their humps.
They're
little water humps.
Check it out.
I'm canceling David. He's done. Okay.
Why is that?
I don't know. I'm getting there. Trust me.
This is serious because Allison doesn't cancel anybody. So
I don't really cancel that many people, and I'm like, unlike Nicole, I have been practicing this all day. Okay. I also have something to say about that. So just give me the floor, and then I'll shush.
Go for it. That's all you.
First of all, I want to know who the F David thinks he is. First of all, coming into the Big Brother 22 house thinking he can tell Janelle and Kaser what's been going on in the house, that they don't have credit in the house, and all kinds of this going on. Baby, you are only there in All-Stars because you were done wrong by Jackson Nikki. And I agree you were, but you are not an all-star. You don't belong in the house. It wasn't 2.5 seconds ago that somebody had to explain to you what a comp meant or what have-nots were, all kinds of shit. And you want to look royalty, Big Brother royalty in the eyeball's face and say, you've been doing this and you've been doing that, when you have nothing to back it up with. Nothing at all.
She asked for specific examples, and he was like,
absolutely.
He has no idea who he's talking to.
He reminds me of these people, and I'm not getting political, but whatever, these pro-Trumpers who are so full of knowledge that when when you step to them and question them and say, prove it, hold on, I got to get on Google. Mm-hmm. I have to Google my facts because that's what he doesn't have Google to rely on right now. He doesn't even know who Janelle and Kaser are.
No,
Okay,
but he
so
could have watched their seasons in Sequester like everybody
They
else
had
did.
enough fucking time.
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
an asshole. He needs to go. I'm over it. I don't feel sorry for him anymore. You're done with me. You're canceled. And yes, I am a little ray of sunshine today. So just whatever. I also have a list because we're going to talk about something else. Nicole Franzel. And no, I'm not doing an impression tonight with my hair and glasses. Okay, just whatever. But here's the thing. Yeah, I know. I don't even have a thing.
I figured out with my glasses last night and with my blonde hair when it's down, I can be Nicole Franzel.
But yeah, here's the thing. So they picked the have-nots this week, and Nicole, who was a have-not last week, got to pick someone to be a have-not this week in her place. So she picks Janelle and says, well, why don't you repeat what she said, Beth?
Beth, go ahead.
I've been so out of the loop, so I don't know specifically
Okay,
what
well,
she said.
She said, well, I'm going to pick somebody who hasn't been a have-not before and also somebody that loves to talk about me. So, Janelle. And Janelle like was so pissed, and she was like, she confronted Nicole about it a little bit later. We didn't see it on the feeds because the feeds were down at the time, but everybody was saying that Janelle started this fight. Come to find out, it was Nicole that just like started like random drama out of nowhere.
Makes sense.
Yeah. She said that it just slipped out or whatever she said. That's because she got confronted by Janelle and didn't know what to do. Oh, and Janelle's like, girl, you were practicing that all day and you were playing the day. Yes, you did. I know girls like you. Okay. And I'm going to tell you something. I made a list of things that slip out just on my postie.
I love that it's on a post-it note.
It's on a list of slip outs. First, farts. A fart slips out when you sneeze or you cough, or in my case, you trip, you fart a little. Okay. Nipples slip out. Ask Janet Jackson. Middle fingers. They slip out. They do for me. I don't know about everybody else, but if I'd have been Janelle, I would have been like, oh, look what just slipped out of my hand. And I hadn't been thinking about it all day, Nicole. Okay, there. And penises, they slip from time to time. Do they not? Sometimes they slip. They do.
Out of the hole.
Out of the hole. I've been in a yoga class where I was behind a gentleman who was wearing short shorts and the tip was hanging out in his downward dog. So it does happen from time to time. That's all I've got.
Now, Allison, do you tell in that situation? Do you tell the guy like, "Hey, like your dick is out," or do you just kind of like let him figure it out?
No, I'm usually the only.
If I were Allison, I'd be like, "Do you have a tip? I think you have a tip for me, but I have a tip for you." Stick her back in.
Also, how do you not feel that? Like I would feel when.
Do you not feel the little breeze
right,
of
exactly,
air.
Right. And all the breeze of the yoga farts around you too.
I'm not going to say anything because this poor man has had to endure I don't know how many of my tiny little yoga farts and SPDs I'll let fly.
That's true.
Okay.
This is just payback.
I think he asked if there was a sewer leak once. No, it was that hole.
Oh God. So speaking of disasters, this week, of course, we saw Tyler win HOH. The writing was on the wall from the very beginning. Pretty slow week in terms of who to expect for nominations. Of course, we saw Janelle and Kaiser nominated. And spoiler alert, was it Cody or Tyler that won the veto? Because it like went back and forth like so many times. But it was one of them. Cody won the veto, and he decided not to use it, of course. So it's either Janelle or Kaiser going home. And so me watching the feeds this week, I've really just been watching Janelle and Kaiser just like have their like last moments together, because realistically, this is like the last time we will see them in the Big Brother house. Ever. It's sad, but you know, it is what it is. Like the writing's pretty much on the wall that Janelle's going to go home. And this is why America loves Janelle so much. Like it's so impossible for her to get out of this situation, but she's still trying her ass off. And Janelle and Kaiser have both said, like, listen, like we respect this game way too much. Please feel free to campaign, do whatever. I respect that about you, because they just have just a love for the game. And I feel like that's like such a big difference between these old school players and new players, is that like the new players just like lay down and die and they're like, whatever. Especially when they're like up against like their friend and they think they are going home. But Janelle and Kaser, they're working it so hard. Like I've seen Janelle have like, I think like 3 different pitches to Danny, and Danny just like goes and talks shit about her after. But like Janelle is like trying. So it's sad. It's sad to see somebody that loves the game that much and somebody that can do so much damage go home pre-jury. But, you know, when we did the draft, when everybody did their drafts, everybody said Janelle and Kaser would be going pre-jury. So that's why I'm like accepting it instead of saying like the season's canceled. Like I'm not watching this anymore.
Listen, we all knew. So the person so far that I've been the most shocked went pre-jury was Nicole Anthony. And I wasn't shocked watching it because it made complete sense. But when you're thinking about the game ahead of time with this cast, you're in your mind, you're like, oh, there's no way that, you know, Nicole Anthony doesn't go far. There's a few big targets in this cast that I would be shocked if they make it out of the pre-jury. And they might, because they made the right connections. Yeah. I think that because we're so accustomed to the big popular group of fit people being assholes that we automatically don't like them, right? And I think if you look at the actual alliance of 6, they're all really good players, whether you want to admit it or not. Now, the one thing I think everyone can agree that Nicole Franzel has been incredibly annoying. And what's her biggest issue is in getting the audience on her side is the ownership of her own actions and her own ownership of her own emotions. Okay. So her emotions are valid. How she chooses to use those is not always valid. Okay. That's the thing that people have an issue with. And if she were to go into the DR and be like, yeah, I was upset by this and I did that. Yeah. I think people would like her so much better. Yeah. And they would respect the fact that she's a good game player and she knows exactly who to network with. And guess what? She is a winner in this game. And I don't think that she's the biggest person in that alliance to go. Yeah. I think that there are people who might want to target her, of course. But I think that she can nevertheless make sure that other people are in front of her. Yeah. Danny's been amazing. I do see a couple people potentially coming after her. Mm-hmm. Tyler has been working his different final twos. This is something that I've said from the get-go. Am I the biggest Tyler fan? Not really. And it's not because of him. It's because of like, I was so rooting for the underdogs of his season. Like I am here too. We're seeing basically a mirror of like what he was able to pull off in BB20 to a certain extent. I mean, it's more clear where his allegiances are this time around. Cody, like everybody was excited to see Cody, but now all of a sudden we don't like him because he's against Janelle and Kaser. We have to remember that these are all great players, for the exception of David.
Yes. Tyler is not a great player. I'm sorry, Beth. But
Tyler is a very great player.
I will say that Tyler's game this season so far has been impressing me a lot more than what I saw in Big Brother.
You're both canceled. Where's the mute button?
But like I'm separating personal from game because like that's what we have to do here. Like, is Tyler my favorite house guest ever? Like, no, absolutely not. But like we'll get into it once I bring up my little chart. But I think the winner of this season is either Tyler or Danny. I am looking that in.
So here's the thing too, and I don't know specifics on this. Okay, so y'all want to enlighten me. So full disclosure, y'all, college is back in session in the middle of a pandemic. I've been outrageously busy this past week with all these other commitments. So I have not been as in tune with the feeds and such. So some of this is going to be y'all telling me stuff. I have seen rumblings online that people are starting to catch on to Danny's like almost Andy Herron gameplay, and that is not necessarily a good thing for her. So I don't know who that is. I don't know who's catching on. But that's one thing I've heard. The other thing I've noticed just generally why I'm surprised, kind of going back to Janelle and Kaser. I'm sorry, I'm going to whip it all over the place.
No, it's okay.
I'm surprised Janelle and Kaser aren't saying, wow, David's shaking both of us. He's already kind of been awful to Davon and Bailey. And it wouldn't be inconceivable to the other people in the house that he throws them under the bus or says something wrong. So I'm surprised they haven't like come together, gone to Day and Bailey, maybe even Ian or somebody like that to be like, David is a whole hot mess. This is what he said. He said he would target Davon or Bailey next and try to, because they would probably believe that. Probably you would want to say Davon. And then say that he would put up somebody else like Nicole Franzel up there, right? So that way you get somewhere on the level, like I was almost called it level 6, but the level 6 part 2 alliance, as I call it, happening. Like he said that he would protect Tyler and all these different kinds of things, but like that I would have to do a lot more to earn his trust, and then like do a house meeting on it, like throw him completely under the bus, because regardless of whichever one of you stays, you're going to have numbers from all different sides of the house, and he's the perfect person to throw under the bus because everybody knows how shit he is at the game.
Yeah. Yes. I see a lot of people in the chat saying like, Danny's going to beat Brittany, 3 boys in Final Four. I don't think it's going to get to that. I like knowing Danny and Big Brother 13. Like she is not afraid to make a move and jump ship when she feels ready to, and I feel like she is almost at that point already. That's like what I'm getting this week. So like,
Cody also is already saying that they can't let Tyler get too far, and so if the fact that Cody is on that, I think that Enzo would go along with that. I think there's some people that they could get for numbers to make sure that Tyler doesn't go too far. I could see him actually going pre-jury, but like towards late pre-jury or very early jury.
I just don't want to make it to Final 2. I think he's a good player. I just don't think he's a great player. And that's not personal. I just don't think he's up to the caliber of some legends.
Yeah.
I really don't. And
no, I can understand that completely.
And why is David even there? Like every week I'm struggling internally with this because I get it, but it's like he's a pity house guest. And he should have been saved for another season.
Yeah.
Just not
a second chance this season.
I feel
we are losing Kaser or Janelle, but we still get this mofo? No. It irritates me.
It is very irritating. And the thing that really sucks the most is that I wish we could see the David that had such a good read on the house, that could pick up people's like body language, that knew the dynamics after being sequestered for 2 weeks and being in the house for a couple of hours and seeing that when nobody else in the house could really pick up everything that on the other sides, right? I wish we could see that David. But the fact of the matter is, I really think that his inexperience in the game, and I think probably his self-consciousness of being the least experienced person in that game, has really gotten to him. He really has no ability to read. I am actually floored by how incompetent he's been. And that's really sad because he has a lot of potential. I do agree he would have been awesome on a second chance this season. Mm-hmm. And it's too bad that he can't. If he had brought that level of gameplay here, I don't think anybody be thinking anything different about him being on an all-star cast. But the fact that he can't bring it, it's a double-edged sword for him, and it's really unfortunate.
Yeah. All right. Are we ready for me to bring up my chart and explain how I think the house dynamic is?
Let's see it.
Okay, cool. I spent a lot of time talking with my boyfriend about this last night, and like the visual of it all just started coming together for me. So this is what I came up with. Okay.
Oh wait, I had
I saw your thing. We'll post that later. We'll share that
later. Did you take it out?
I did.
You little shit.
So
you did that.
Because I want to take this seriously first, and then we can joke about me being a loser after.
Oh man.
Okay.
Wait. Time out.
What?
Allison.
What?
If you want to have a fun moment right now, you could show everybody your water bottle.
Oh yeah. I've been drinking a gallon of water today.
Time out. Can you all see that is literally the half the size of Allison?
It's humongous. I think I've been overdoing
body weight in water today.
Yeah, Allison, if you need to take a break to pee, we understand here on My Weekly Meltdown. Okay, so this is what I think the entire house structure looks like. In 3 layers of like circles of information and trust within this like big overarching alliance. So in the middle of all of this is Tyler, Enzo, and Cody. These three are more loyal to each other than anybody on the outside, and they are playing the people on the outside of this inner circle. So on the outside of that are Danny, Christmas, and Nicole. Danny, Christmas, and Nicole believe that Tyler, Enzo, and Cody are with them 100%, and they're like not seeing the writing on the wall. And outside of that further is Davon and Bailey in the alliance. And so if you see here, on the outside of the circle are like just random players that are just kind of like floating around, and they don't have any kind of like real connection, except for like one personal connection to somebody within the alliance. So David has Tyler, Kevin has Davon, Memphis has Cody, Ian has Nicole, and Janelle and Kaser don't have anybody. So that's why Kaser will be targeted and taken out the next week, is because he doesn't have like any connections to anybody in this alliance. So after that, it's going to start, like, it's really just going to like collapse in on itself, right? Like I see like these outer four going first, and then Davon and Bailey going next, because as you see here, their trust is more going back and forth between each other than anybody like connected to any of the like inner rings in the circle. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
So the problem here with Danny and Tyler is, so even in this middle circle here, Christmas has Enzo on the inside as like a personal connection. Nicole has Cody as a personal connection on the inside circle. But so naturally, Danny should be going to Tyler, but she's going to Cody instead, which is making a lot of problems here. And that's the reason why Tyler isn't trusting Danny as much. Like it should be like a mutual connection back and forth. But I think Danny is trying to fight for this third spot in the inner circle where Tyler is at. I think Danny wants to be Danny, Enzo, Cody here in the middle, but she's really finding herself on this like outer circle. So knowing Danny and knowing how much she like jumps ship when she like feels threatened and worried, I think that she sees the writings on the wall here. However, I think it's a little too late for her to do anything about it. Like people in the chat were saying, where does Danny go when she jumps ship? That's the problem. I think if she doesn't win power soon, like if she won HOH next week, she could totally change this entire structure, and maybe bring in like Davon and Bailey, and gosh, like maybe pick up Kevin. But like that's the thing. Like I'm even looking at Ian. Like Ian is to Nicole and Nicole is to Cody. So it's hard to break that like connection of three. You know.
I mean, in order to break the game open, they need to get rid of Cody, and nobody will do that.
Yes. So that's why I'm saying like it would be amazing if Kaser won HOH next week, because he would put up Tyler and Cody, and that would break up the entire game, and that would benefit Danny so much. So I wish Danny here was like really working on her connection with Kaser this week. And Janelle's like really trying to throw her a bone by like having all these conversations with her. So like naturally Danny could be connecting with Kaser more via Janelle, but it's just not happening. And I'm worried that like Danny is just like trusting Cody a little too much. I could even put Cody in like another small circle here in the middle of like this one, because it all comes back to him. And that's really pissing off Tyler. Tyler wants to be in this middle, but Danny, her allegiance is going more to Cody than to Tyler. So
and
that's
here's the thing too, though, is that I think that who do you think Danny's number one alliance is?
I think it's to Cody. And I think that that's a bad thing.
I think it's either to Cody or Nicole.
Yes. If I had to choose a second person, I would say it's Nicole. But I think Nicole's allegiance will be to Cody before Danny.
As I look at the six that are in either the inner circle or the ring around it, I think the least connected person there is Enzo.
I think so too, which is why I think like Christmas will be the first to go out of Danny, Christmas, and Nicole. I
think so. And I think it's also because Christmas clearly had something going on with Ian too. That's the one connection that I don't know what it's been like this week. I don't know if you can enlighten me a little bit on that. Are they still kind of talking a little bit? I mean, a lot of what we saw last week with Christmas and Ian, we actually saw more in confessional. So it hasn't, rather than what we saw in feats. So they're very well could be.
Yeah, I mean, the whole like Christmas picking Ian thing last week is very random to me. I think that she believes that there's no inner circle here. I think that she thinks that like this is the alliance, this big circle right here. So I think she's just thinking like, I need to hide this by picking Ian. But she doesn't realize like anybody like within one of these circles, they have no idea what's going on the more inner layer of that circle. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like these three in the middle really have all of the information and have like a keep on like where everybody's position is in the house. And that's why it seems so frustrating and it seems so unbreakable. And of course, like it helps that they're winning all these comps, which are like a lot more physical again this year, which is also really frustrating. But this alliance structure is really impressive to me. So I really have to give it to Tyler, Enzo, and Cody. And that's why I'm saying like I think it could come down to Danny or Tyler in the end, because if Danny somehow figures this out, and I have faith that she could figure it out, because like I just think she's a really, really great player, and I think that she is thinking about these things, unlike Christmas or Nicole. If she can change this dynamic correctly in her favor, I think she could get herself in a position where she could win the game. But this is a really uphill battle. Like, do I think she'll win this battle? No, I think Tyler will ultimately succeed. But this is what I'm thinking. Allison, what do you think?
I'm on board. I don't know.
I know this is really nerdy game theory, but like, I really think that this is it. And like some people in the chat are saying like, some people in the chat are saying like, yes, Christmas has Tyler. Tyler has like good personal connections with everybody. But I think the only one that Tyler really considers in his like true pocket is David.
Yeah.
And he's going to keep David around as long as possible because he's like such a goat at the end. And Tyler's not going to go to final two again and lose by 1 vote.
And that's exactly why I'm saying that Janelle and Kaser should be doing their damnedest right now to make people on the outer ring and people not even in the circle at all feel like David is a threat because he's unpredictable. And then throw to somebody like Christmas or Nicole, like, hey, David said he wanted to throw y'all under the bus so that he can prove his alliance to Tyler. Or something like that. Something that just seems like a little out there, because inevitably what's going to happen is they're going to try to corner him. And as we've seen, he can't hold a fucking conversation. So he'll always look bad. Janelle and Kaser, I think, are smart enough players to compare.
Janelle and Kaser know exactly everything in this graph right here.
And that's exactly why I think like, I'm hoping that what they can eventually do is plant the seeds, flat out go up to like Davon and Bailey and like Kevin, the three of them, and be like, David said he's coming after at least one of you next week if he wins HOH. Mm-hmm. That would make Davon absolutely infuriated. Yeah. And I also don't think that would shock her based off of the conversations we saw last week and how she felt about it in the confessional. Bailey also felt the same way. Mm-hmm. I then think, like I'm saying, you go to someone like Christmas, someone who's approachable within that inner circle, who has connections. Like, I do think she still has that connection with Ian. I think she's kind of good with Tyler, all these different kinds of people, and basically say like, yeah, so he was basically like, I'm not gonna lie, he said like he would do something like try to get rid of a you or a Christmas, or like a you or a Nicole or a Danny, somebody that he feels like he can wedge into this alliance to be like with you. So he wants to target both sides of the house in order to have you all implode on each other so he can sneak into the middle. Yeah. That's an issue. And just blow that right open, because what if anything you're gonna get is you're going to have the major alliance spill who they are to the outsiders. And if you look at everybody else who's in that house, it makes it an equal game. Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I wish that they would just do that, plant those seeds, and then call a house meeting, put him on blast and see how he acts, because you know, if it, at the very least, it'd be entertaining. I would like a little bit of entertainment on the way out, you know?
Yeah. I just want Danny to like stop giving Cody so much information. And I think she's doing this because she sees that Tyler is in this middle circle instead of her. So I think she's overcompensating by just like giving him like a shit ton of information to kind of be like, look, I'm validating that, like, you can trust me, you can trust me, you can trust me. But I think Cody's thinking like bros before hoes kind of thing.
And here's the thing. Nicole is the fourth, not Danny, not Christmas. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Nicole will always be that fourth. So Danny has to figure out soon that those boys will be loyal to each other over the girls, and that Nicole will not do an all women's alliance. So if you want the power structure to eventually go to the women, stop voting them out, which is why you should not vote out Janelle this week. You should vote Kaser if you're a Danny or somebody like that.
Yes.
And you need to be able to start flipping on the boys literally within the next week. You have to be able to break that power structure. If another woman goes, it's game over. I'm sorry. It'll just be like boys at the end, and she will get Brittany'd. Actually, she won't get Brittany'd. She'll get like a 5th place, she'll get at most.
So I actually think like talking about the whole like Brittany BB12 metaphor where like Enzo and the brigade took her all the way to the end and then told her what was going on and took her out. I see that actually happening to Nicole Franzel more than Danny. I think Danny will figure that out before that happens, but I think Nicole will be the one to like totally get like fucked over and like not see the writing on the wall.
And that's exactly why I want Danny to realize this now, because if she realizes it, and if like, I don't know Danny as well as you do. I know that you've like studied her gameplay a lot. If she's the one that can do that, I think Christmas will listen to her. I don't know if Nicole will. I hope that she's smart enough not to give too much information to Nicole. And what she needs to do is not vote out somebody on the outside, either the Davon Bailey ring or the outside before that. You have to vote out, like, even if it's Enzo, get rid of one of those 3 guys, because then you can fit yourself in there. You can cause a little bit more chaos. You blow the game open, and then you have places and people to go to. If you vote out everybody on the outside circles, you don't have anybody to jump ship to, and then your game's over.
Yeah, right. And the thing is, Danny has, like, if she gets like Christmas, Nicole, Bailey, Davon, that is the majority. Like, that beats out numbers wise Tyler, Enzo, Cody, even with Danny in power without a vote, right? So like all she needs to do is win HOH and put up Tyler and Cody. And well,
then you also have to count the people in the outside circle: David, Kevin, Memphis, Ian, Janelle, or Kaser. Who's there?
I'm just so frustrated with like all of them except for Ian, just because he's like so cute and adorable. So that's my Big Brother strategy masterclass. This is how I see the game shaping out. And I wouldn't be surprised if like the boot order is like Memphis, Kevin, Ian, David, and then Davon and Bailey, and then Christmas, Danny, Nicole, and then Enzo, Cody.
But aren't they talking about going after Davon next week?
They are. So like that's another thing too, and I think that would be a mistake if they did, because
a huge mistake.
Davon is like stupid loyal to these guys. So I hope that's not the case, but we'll see who wins power. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. So we'll see. But Allison, how do you feel about all that?
It's a lot to take in.
I'm sorry. I tried to explain it as clearly as possible. Just because like it's a lot to think about, but this is really an exciting structure because it's so like. And we also have to think too, like we can be frustrated at these people for not getting it, but we are literally Big Brother, like watching in on like everything that's happening. Like we have the whole story and they don't.
Oh yeah.
I agree with everything. I am awake, gosh damn it. I am awake. I was listening. I just want everyone to know I do have the ability to listen and be respectful.
Listen, I tune out Allison all the time, so like if she wants to tune me out, that is totally fine.
I wasn't tuning you out.
No, it's okay. I'm not saying you are, but I'm saying you can. I would totally understand. I'm pretty tune outable.
I take pity on Allison. She has to put up with Tyler and me basically being 2 versions of the same person when it comes to talking about game.
Right.
Constantly.
Okay, so let's get
out for a replacement because I got these 2.
All right. So with that being said, let's start our ratings for the week. So Allison, I'll start with you. What do you think? How do you think Christmas is doing? What's her number this week?
I don't know. I don't really know what she's been up to. I'll just give her a 4 because I don't know what's going on. Nothing much. Nothing that I've seen in Twitter or the feed updates.
Well, she did win Safety Suite, so she's like safe for the second week in a row.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on.
Or no, she was
the +1, right?
Sorry. Yeah. She was the +1.
But Enzo picked her after Davon, who angered me with her. Oh, I've just never had a punishment. I don't really care about being safe.
So frustrated at Davon for that.
Shut your mouth. Don't even get me started when you get to her. But yeah, just keep my 4.
Okay, I'm gonna give Christmas a 7 because to me it's impressive positioning that she was able to get herself safe 2 weeks in a row, and also I think she's really worked on her one-on-one connection with Enzo, which I think only benefits her. However, she is a little blind to the games that Tyler is playing. I think that she trusts him a little too much, so that's why I'm rating her a little bit lower than last week. Beth, what do you think?
Yeah, so I want to do a caveat. Like I said earlier, I have not been able to watch feeds literally at all. I've been reading as much as I can on Twitter from all the different updates that are out there. So I apologize if whatever I say doesn't make sense, and feel free to correct me. I think I'm going to give her a 6. I think that she's still doing a good job. Nobody is talking about getting rid of Christmas. Even the people, I think, on the inner circle, I think the bigger fish to fry would be a Danny. There's mistrust in that inner circle with Danny than there is than there is with Christmas. Christmas is in with at least 2 of those guys really well with Enzo and Tyler. I also see her having. I'm assuming at least that there's still a good connection with Ian, who's someone to have on the outside. She has somebody she can jump to that's not within the inner circle. That makes a lot of sense. I don't think that there's a single person that doesn't feel like they can have some level of personal trust with her, if not game trust with her, which I think is a great place to be. That said, I just don't see her making the gains that she made last week, which is why I rated her pretty highly last week, because we saw those conversations with Ian and such. I'm not seeing as much of that this week, but again, I don't know if some of that's because it was mostly in confessionals and they just didn't show it or something like that. So,
yep. All right, Allison, have your fly swatter ready because we're gonna score David now.
0. Next.
I'm gonna give David a 1. I'm so unimpressed with this game. LOL at anybody preseason that said, "Oh, he has good reads on people." I got a lot of likes on Twitter for that. But no, seriously, he is just so outmatched by literally every other player in this game. It's not even funny. He's just so uneducated on how the game works. He can't talk game. I mean, no. Danny literally had a conversation with him where she was like, "You have to start talking game with people. It's week 3, buddy. Please start."
Amazing how much he runs his mouth when he's not on the block.
He's turning into Victoria levels of GOAT, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Beth, what do you think?
I also am going to give him a 1. It's amazing. Can you play a worse game when you're safe than when you were on the block? And we already gave you a 1 last week. So right. It's really impressive. The biggest problem here, going back to what we said before, is that this is his first time actually playing the game. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to have someone be on an all-star season when it's your first time actually being able to play. I was one of the people that absolutely said preseason he's an incredible game player in terms of being able to read people. But now that I realized it, and this was my response to Tyler's tweet, he wasn't technically in the game when he was making those reads. He was technically on the sideline watching the game happen without the pressure of it. All he had to do was win and then come back in, which he didn't do. He has not won a single competition ever in this game, either last year or now. So he's got to at least win something to let his threat level go up a little bit, so that people might take him a little bit more seriously. But until then, he just doesn't have the chops. And I feel really poorly because I was excited to see him back. And maybe not so much to call him an all-star, but just to see what he could do. And I'm just really disappointed, unfortunately.
Yeah, I really think David should have been called back for a second chances type of season. I think that would fit a lot better than a true all-star season. And it's a shame.
There's people CBS, Big Brother, if you wanted to bring back an all-star who is black, there were many other people that you could have chosen over David.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to put that out there. And I just feel like, bad. Like, I feel like this is actually going to be worse for him than it would have been if they had put him on a season that was maybe more appropriate for him, if that made sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's just CBS just trying to buddy up to the current movement in a pretty empty way.
Are you telling me that everybody else that's ever played this game has freaking COVID? You're trying to tell me the 300, whoever number it is, the people that have played Big Brother US all had COVID, but David, he was the only one left.
And here's the thing, okay? Wow. And I'm going to be 100% serious about this. I loved what Arissa Cox said earlier, okay? About making sure that at least half of the cast for BB Can moving forward is going to be people of color to make up for that, okay? Because when you have the entirety of your race on top, like that you have to represent and navigate, you're already at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Just putting it out there, okay? By being black, you're at a disadvantage in America. That's just point blank, just how it is. You put on top of that now you're one of 3 people in that entire house that are black.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So now you have everybody looking at you. You're the only black male, and you're the only person who's never played the game. Talk about disadvantage after disadvantage after disadvantage. And people are going to shit on him, not because he's black, but because of his game. But we have to remember, like, he was not given any favors in this game. I'm just going to put that out there. Like, as much as we shit on him, or we might not agree with everything that he's doing, he was not given an equal opportunity at this game. I'm going to be very adamant about that. Mm-hmm. So I just want everybody, like, the reason why I've not called him dumb. I've not called him an idiot. I've not shat on him publicly, and I will not do that, is because he has not been given an equal footing in this game, period.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's played a great game, but I think that's fair. That's just a fair, objective thing to say. It's not even subjective at this point.
Yeah, but and anytime I like, if I did call him an idiot, I'm not sure if I have, but like if I did, I would hope that people would know it's like when I'm talking about just like strictly like Big Brother gameplay purposes, not like he is truly an idiot in real life or anything. Of course, that's not what I mean. But
no, and that's not for me at all to call out you two or anything like that.
No, that's okay.
I'm just seeing a lot of people.
Because I went on a whole tirade.
No, I'm calling to people who are personally attacking him on Twitter.
Yeah,
like there's a difference here, and I'm just trying to not so gently remind people of the seriousness and the actuality of his particular situation in the game.
Yes.
Anyway, my rant is over.
He was picked by last year's winner. You know, don't forget that. I mean, that freaking mermaid's this piece of shit.
Also, I want to give a thank you to Matt Henning, who's like keeping me straight with like these numbers and stuff. Thank you. Okay, well, I will start with Danny. I gotta say, guys, I'm worried about her. I think she needs to win power soon and shake up the game. And even if she does that, like, it's gonna make herself a huge target. But if she doesn't do anything, like, she is gonna get screwed over by Tyler. But I have full faith that, like, if I had to guess who's gonna pull the trigger on who first, I would totally say Danny 1,000% before Tyler. Just knowing them two as players. So I'm going to be Fancy Fencerton here. I'm going to give Danny a 5. Beth, what do you think?
I agree with that. I think that she's a 5. Like all the points I said earlier, I think out of the core 6, she could be the first one to go unless she's able to organize something there. I could potentially see Tyler be the first one of that group to go, which would benefit her game only because I've seen Cody say, but it was to Danny. Like,
I think it helps her that Tyler can play in HOH next week.
Right. So I agree. I need Danny to build more bridges that are genuine with people not in that 6, and I'll feel better about her positioning. As it is, people know where she stands, and that's not good for her game if she wants to play a true floater game.
Yeah.
Which she's got to win the power so that she's not the floater anymore. Unfortunately, I don't think this strategy is going to work out for her for many more weeks. So.
Remember her good friend Andy Heron. I want her to play that type of game.
Yeah.
Allison.
Nobody caught on to Andy's game in week 3.
Yeah.
And we're catching on to her game. So that's why I can't compare her to Andy. And I also will always say that I think Andy's one of the better winners that I've personally seen.
Absolutely. He's top 5 for me. Someone's saying even Evil Dick is upset at Danny's game. He was upset at her game in season 13 too, so like whatever. Allison
just upset in general.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. True.
Danny's gonna get a 4 because she's making her target by not making herself a target, making herself a target. That's it.
I like it. I like it, Allison.
So I'm going to give Cody an 8 out of 10. I think he just has like the people that are winning comps in his favor, and he is in that inner circle. And I think that if Cody and Tyler were targeted, that's where he could be in some trouble. But I think the vote would be really close. I think it would be split by just like 1 or 2 votes either way. So it's really going to come down to the people campaigning for him or against him. Yeah, I don't know. He's pretty set right now, I think. Yeah. Beth, what do you think?
I'm going to give him a 7. I really like his game. I like that he's got a lot of people who are in power that are feeding him information. I think generally everybody feels good about him in the house. The people who say they want to target him, I think, are going to have a harder time getting that to happen. I think you put him on the block with literally anybody, the other person goes. Yeah. I don't think he has the chance of going. But that said, his name is starting to pop up in people's mouths. So if he's not able to, and he's won 2 competitions. He's won a veto and he's won head of household. So obviously we know that he's still good at getting those comp wins. So I feel good about his chances moving forward. I just don't feel strong enough to put him in that 8, 9, 10 range because people are starting to put a target on him.
Sure. Allison, what do you think?
I'm going to give him a 6. I feel like he and Danny are playing the same exact game, but she's going to go because she has a vagina.
I mean,
you're not wrong.
You're not wrong.
I'm not wrong because the girl always goes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Also, Allison, side note, I love your new glasses. They look really good. This is the first time we're seeing them on there. They look.
I'm on the fence, y'all. I don't know, but I appreciate it. I'm trying. I've taken like 50 selfies from every angle and hairstyle, outside, inside, everywhere, in the car, and I don't know yet, but I appreciate it.
It looks good. I like it. Thumbs up for me. Allison, let's hear your thoughts on Kevin. What do you think?
No, my boo, Kevin. Kevin can do no wrong. I'm giving him an 8. But just let Kevin. I don't care. He'd be my friend in the house. We'd hang out. We'd have fun. He'd braid my hair. We'd hang out. We would be on a hammock talking so much shit.
Actually, I want to see Allison and Kevin in the house just talking shit because that would be my favorite thing.
Shit.
Both of you on flop too because I want the extra edge.
And
I feel like Anita Vito would like wear your glasses and like do like a routine about Allison. I would love that.
Listen, just talking shit. If it were a veto comp, I'd win. And let me tell you something. I'm not going to backpedal from my talking shit. Okay? If I say it, I mean it. Okay? I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, I got busted. It just slipped out. No, honey.
And that's why we love you.
That's right. If you can't fight, don't get in the ring.
I'm going to give Kevin a 3. I don't feel the same way, Allison. Sorry, but I think he's playing a pretty terrible game. And I hate seeing Alex Kidwell
You're not
upset.
wrong.
Yeah, I hate seeing Alex Kidwell upset at his first draft pick. But yeah, I just he has like all the wrong reads. He still wants to target Janelle and Kaser, which is like the stupidest thing in the world. And I think he's gonna get clipped pretty soon here. Beth, what do you think?
I'm going to give him a 4 because I think he's playing not a great game, but I think that his lack of understanding what's happening, other people see that. And just like a David, they're going to want to keep that around a little longer. So I could see them going after, unfortunately, a Davon, Bailey, Ian kind of situation, Memphis maybe even, before they go after Kevin because they know that they can manipulate his vote.
Yeah.
They might use him as a pawn over and over and over. And then that might be the way he goes home because pawns go home.
So for Tyler's HOH, I'm torn between an 8 or a 9. I think I'm gonna go with an 8 just because like I think he could have done a better job misting Danny into like not being so alarmed about him and wanting to make a move on him. I think that he's fumbled that information a little bit in terms of like telling Cody and Enzo like he really doesn't trust her, which I understand, like trying to like put in the work now so that when it comes time to make the decision, it's already there. It's not like a blindside. However, like I feel like this is like way too early. Like we still have we still have Memphis. We still have Kaser after this week. We still have Kevin, Ian, just like all these people. Like wait until they're fighting about taking out Bailey and Davon to start like laying the groundwork for getting out Danny and making that pecking order. Beth, what do you think?
Here's the thing. Okay, so listen, guys.
Every time.
Tyler's going to talk about Danny the way that I talked about Denise. It's just how it is, all right?
It is. Yeah, I'm sorry. If you don't like Danny, like pick a different show to watch.
But here's the other thing too, okay? Danny at least is a better game player than Denise was. Like I will be the first person to admit that. I just, there's other things. Anyway, I think that Tyler for me, I'll also do an 8. He had a pretty easy week, honestly, to be an HOH if you're in that alliance. Like, who else are you going to do? Mm-hmm. And his alliance won. Mm-hmm. So he didn't have to worry about nominating anybody else. His target's going to go home. And unless Kaser wins HOH, I don't see him touching the block next week. So,
yep. All right, let's hear Allison's.
I always have to deduct the hair points, so keep that in mind because I hate his hair. I really prefer the hair from 2 years ago. He needs to cut it. Just cut it.
It is a little long.
It's long and greasy looking. Like, it doesn't look good. So I
have a lot of
to,
product in it, I feel like.
He does.
Much.
Yeah.
It's too much product.
It's
That's
a
the
lot of product.
Ridiculous. Okay, get that nexus out of your hair. Anyway, so I have to deduct that and do the math. 2, just, because I don't give a crap. I know y'all think he's great. I think he's good. I think there are plenty of other players that could have been in his place. I just think because he's popular. That's it. And he wants to sit there and go, this is for Angela. Get out of here. What's for Angela? What kind of Angela?
Did you guys see that she tweeted to CBS?
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I didn't see this, no.
So Angela was upset that CBS didn't air him reading her letter. So she pulled a total Karen online. She tweeted at CBS being like, really, you have to put a bidet segment in, but you can't do the HOH's letter read. And I'm like, they didn't do that for Memphis last week either. And he has a kid. Like, who cares about Tangela? Like,
also, let's talk about the importance of the bidet portion, okay? Shall we?
You just imagine it ricocheted off the wall, on the floor, into Enzo's face, and he doesn't have pink eye. That's amazing.
Okay, time out though. Your letter was literally the equivalent of a bidet. So you basically got the airtime, girl.
Yeah, you just let the bidet have its time. I've got one in my cart now from Amazon. I've never had water shot up my butthole, and I'm so excited about it. We're gonna do a whole segment.
Listen, it is a weird feeling, but it's not altogether unpleasant. I will put that out there.
Is it better than wet wipes? Does it do the job?
It does the job.
Okay.
A proper bidet does.
All right. So I got to say, I think Bailey's going to get a huge drop from me this week. Not as much as Davon, but it's getting to a point now, guys, where Bailey and Davon are not seeing the writing on the wall with what's going on those inner circles. I think the area of opportunity to change that is really closing really fast. And what's the shame is there are puzzle pieces or chess pieces left on the board for them to maneuver and successfully get out of this, but I don't think that they're seeing it. So I mean, my question is like, do I rate Bailey higher than Danny? I don't think so. Actually, I'm gonna do a 5 as well, like the same as Danny, because I think that they're like in similar positions of like good, like for the next week, but like it's not good overall. It's tough. It's hard to rate these people now. Beth, what do you think?
I'm also going to do a 5 because I don't think that she would be a target over Davon if they were to go up together. People like Ian was saying to Nicole today, like there are 3 obvious pairs going into this game. Like you and me were one of them, and Davon and Bailey were another, and all that kind of stuff. And I keep thinking like, I think Bailey at least has somewhat of some kind of protection from Tyler, even if it's like kind of unspoken, which I think will help her. I kind of think that if Davon were to be voted out, that actually in some ways could be a benefit to Bailey's game, versus if Bailey were to get out before Davon, that would not be a benefit to Davon's game. So I feel like Bailey has some outs there, similar to kind of like a Danny situation, but they're almost the inverse of each other, Danny and Bailey, if that makes sense. So Bailey last week was like the savant we wanted out of her. This week it's cooled down a little bit, but I have faith that she can bounce back next week, and especially if she, Davon, Kaser, I'm assuming Kaser is going to be the one that stays, or even Ian win HOH, kind of here for that.
Yeah, so. That would be cool. Allison, what do you think?
I'm giving her a 4. I think that some of the people that she's aligned with and trusting, I think she needs to just step back and look at the whole picture. I really think Devon's going to be her downfall, and I hate to say it. I mean, that's just me, though. I think that she needs to separate herself and play Bailey's game and do what Bailey needs to do. At the end of the day, it's you that gets $500,000. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah.
I see what I did here. Sorry. I have that messed up. Okay, so Allison, let's hear about Nicole Franzel while I think
0. 0. She gets a 0. Sorry, it slipped out. I haven't been planning it this whole time. Okay. She gets a 0 because she doesn't own her shit. She's not owning her shit in the diary. She's crying. She's getting on my nerves. I don't know what else to say. Bye.
That was really telling this week when she talked about how she cuddled with her mom until she was 16. Like, I'm not saying that as a judgment thing. I literally am saying that as like that's really, like, it really tells you a lot psychologically about how she can process things, and that she might be, and by might, I mean, like, it's obvious that she's codependent on making decisions on those different kinds of things. But I also think that she knows how to use that to manipulate things and people in a good or a bad way. My personal rating for her is a 4 this week, because I do think that out of those 3 women, she'd be the first one that would be targeted by the outside people. I think that she's in a good position. I think Danny has the wherewithal to take the shot that Nicole wouldn't, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that if Christmas had to choose between Nicole and Danny, I think she'd go for Danny. So I think that Nicole heavily relies on the guys. Now, I will say that the numbers help her in that case. If you want to get rid of the women, Nicole is going to be the person that hangs on the most. But I have a sense
just because she's a life leech.
Well, that's my point, is like, I think that she knows exactly who to latch on to. But I think what people are starting to, you can tell, get frustrated by her in the house. And that will affect how they think of her in a game sense moving forward.
Yeah. I'm going to rank Nicole a 6. I think like her positioning is a little bit better than like Christmas or Danny in that outer circle, and she also has that connection to Ian. I don't know why, but I'm feeling that Ian's going to win HOH next week. I just have this like.
I would love that. I would love an Ian HOH, if only just to protect him for one more week.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Who do you guys think Ian would?
Moderator, thank you for all you.
Thank you. Who do you guys think Ian would put up?
Memphis.
I know he would put up Memphis. Yeah. Do you think he would put up someone in the inner circle, or do you think he'd go for the Davon or something like that next?
As much as I would like to, I feel like he would put up Memphis and Kevin,
Okay.
and it will not really
It will hurt his
shift
game.
things too much. Yeah.
Okay.
No.
That's what I think, unfortunately. All right. So speaking of Memphis, Allison, what do you think about Memphis?
I'm giving my Memphis an 8.
An 8. All right. Let's hear why.
I don't feel like I have to, but I will. I don't know. I think he's doing a good job. He convinced everyone last week to go to safety suite, and they did.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think he's playing a good game. I think he's in with the right people. He's not talking too much. He's not talking too little. He is a hard read, but he's a hard read for a reason. And I think Ian and Memphis should work together.
I wish. Oh God, that would solve all of these problems.
Yeah. It really would. Listen, if Ian and Memphis, Davon and Bailey, Kaser could come together, Danny then sees the writing on the wall. She knows where to jump to. Like, just put it out there.
Yeah. I'm going to give Memphis a 6. So I see Memphis turning into like an upgraded version of a goat. So like David is like the ultimate goat in this game. Memphis is the working goat. Somebody that's like actively working for the inner circle, but still has no chance at the end to win or even get there. He's going to be clipped at some point, and nobody's really going to feel bad about it. But do I think that's happening next week unless Ian wins HOH? No. So I think he's okay for now. What do you think?
Yeah. I'm putting him sadly out of 5 because I think he's got an okay shot moving forward. But I also could see him easily be someone that they just put on the block as a pawn because he would be easy to make an example out of. If a Davon and Bailey go up and they can't get themselves to take the shot, I could see them putting up a Memphis, honestly. I think that he's an easy quote unquote pawn to put up or an easy target that people collectively could go for. So in that sense, I feel 50-50 about him. So I'm going to put him smack dab in the middle.
So Enzo, what, Allison?
I'll go next.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have to pee.
Okay, so Allison, talk about Enzo and then go pee.
I'm going to give Enzo a 7. I think that he's doing a great job, maybe not as good as others or, as bad as others. But, at first I was kind of pissed off that he didn't save Devon. Well, no, really, I wasn't pissed off about that. But, I was a little like, what's he doing with Christmas? What has Christmas done to deserve that? But, he's building bridges and he's trying to make those connections to stay longer. Or not stay, to be I got to pee. That's it.
Okay. Beth, what do you think about Enzo?
I'm giving him an 8. I actually think that he's positioned himself incredibly well. We didn't really have an idea of where he solidly sat within the first couple of weeks, although we felt like he had good positioning. I feel like the questioning about Danny has actually strengthened his place with Tyler and Cody.
That's a good way to look at it.
And I think that he's in a really good position that out of those 3 guys, he's not the first one that gets voted out. I don't think he's the second one that gets voted out. I think he's the one that stays along the longest. Yeah. And I also think that he's made really good connections with people on the outer circles that they don't even see him. They never count him as one of the people that's like in the middle to be that I've seen. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Mm-hmm. But I think he's positioned himself very well. And I don't think he needs to win HOH at all. I actually hope that he throws it because he's won a few competitions. So I don't want him to put too much of a target on himself moving forward.
Yeah. So I totally agree with you, Beth. I think that Enzo needs to stop winning comps right now because unlike Tyler and Cody, who are making themselves big targets by winning all these comps, I feel like that target isn't applying to Enzo for some reason. Yeah. And I feel like what would tip the scale for that is for him to win a few more competitions. I think that his positioning is really good in this game, and he has enough time and also influence to maneuver things if it starts to get too Tyler and Cody heavy. in this game. I think that he's done a great job getting a good working relationship with Christmas, getting his like extra like +1 that he didn't have in his original season with the Brigade. I'm giving Enzo a 9.
Yeah.
Very impressed. Very impressed. Okay, so I'll talk about Janelle next. I'm giving her a 1, and I'm sorry, guys, but it has to happen.
I really have an issue with this, but continue.
This is totally just ranking on gameplay. Of course, I love Janelle. Of course, I want her to succeed in the Big Brother house and in life. But she didn't have to play in that safety suite the first week.
But this is week 3, not week 1.
I know, but like she could have had this chance to save herself.
Do you not think she would have used it last week?
With Memphis as HOH? I don't think so. And I think that this is a comp that Janelle easily could have won too, which makes it even more frustrating. She burned like way too much social capital last week trying to save Nicole, who was like not on her side. I think they should have just like chilled and like let it happen. And there's no way she's like not getting out of this week live. So
I can't, in good conscience, rank Janelle lower than I did Nicole and David last week. I cannot, in good conscience, put her on the same level as David for gameplay.
Yeah,
I'm going to give her, in terms of gameplay,
Royalty,
a 4. Because at least she's fighting and she's trying to find the crack, and she knows what will stick and what won't. Wow, God. What will stick and what won't. So she's going to try every little maneuver that she can, and she's going to fight tooth and nail on the way out, and not in a flailing kind of way, but like in a strong gameplay kind of way. So I cannot, in good conscience, put her score anywhere near what we did for Nicole Anthony or for David last week or for David this week. That is, for me, I can't do that. But I do think she's going to go home. That's why I can't put her above a 5 at all. But I admire the fact that she is working her ass off in that house to try to stay, or at the very least to try to get Kaser in a good position moving forward.
All right, Allison, what do you think about Janelle?
Janelle is doing what she can to stay. I don't know. She just gets more points from me because she is like the royalty of Big Brother, and she has saved face and not physically clawed the eyeballs out of Nicole and David for being a shithead.
Hey, there's still plenty of time left in the week. It could happen.
There is.
That's true. We've got 2 days.
I would love for her to call her out in her eviction speech.
Yeah. Can you imagine? I'm going to give her a 7 just because of my fantasy world. Can you imagine if she stayed 1 HOH and put up Nicole? What would she say at that nomination ceremony? Well, I'm putting up this person because
she always talks about me.
They always talk about me, or they just let me slip out the mouth all the time. Which is it?
If Janelle stays somehow and wins HOH, we know she puts up Nicole Franzel, but who's the other person that she puts up? I think it's Cody.
Because she has the brass balls to do it.
I think it could be Cody, or it could be a Tyler as like a.
I think you're right, Beth. I think it would be either one of those. Maybe Cody, because she has to think that like Cody would absolutely be a vote to keep Nicole Franzel. So that might tip the scale in favor of putting Cody up there. So maybe that's what Kaser would do. Maybe he would put up God, I would love a Kaser HOH. Let's talk about Kaser. I've really been keeping a close eye on Kaser this week because, I mean, the writing's on the wall that Janelle is going home. And I really want him to spend this time not trying to like just hang out with Janelle and isolate himself, but just like build bonds with people that you will still be in the house with. I just want Kaser to at least make jury for the first time in Big Brother. But
I do as well for the points.
yeah, that's true. But do I see it? No. I'm gonna give Kaser a 3. be, because I haven't seen him work on other people too much this week. And it's frustrating. I want him to succeed so bad, and he's so smart. But I feel like him and Janelle are just like a total package at this point together, and there's no way he's getting the target off himself. Allison, what do you think?
This is what I think. I'm going to give him an 8 because I think he's going to divide and conquer because his butt's going to stay. And even if he doesn't win HOH this week, I do think if there will be a shift because that duo is no longer together and he is now a number, not a threat, a number. So it would be silly to nominate him. He's a powerful ally to have. He's smart. He thinks. He knows how to play the game. This ain't no David. This isn't Kevin. But you know what I mean? Let's just make it up.
Yeah.
Dare you give him a 3.
That's what he thinks.
I'm also going to give him a 4. So Janelle, I gave a 4 because she was working hard, but the writing was on the wall that she was going to go. I'm giving him a 4 because he's going to stay. So his prospects are better this week, but he hasn't been working as hard. Now, here's the one thing that works in his favor, though, is because Janelle had such a big target on him, people by default prefer him. So I think they see without Janelle in the house that he isn't as big of a threat. So I don't see him immediately being targeted in the same way that Janelle would be if she still stayed. However, and I think I could be wrong. So full disclosure, I've been having thoughts that like before I go to sleep, like when I think about things like that are happening in the world or whatever, and then they happen in my dreams and then I can't decipher if it's a real thing or not. So this is one of them because I like merged Big Brother in with work stuff earlier this week and it was all weird.
Story of my life.
So no, seriously. So this could be absolutely a manifestation of something I dreamed about. But I thought I saw something about Ian realizing that without Kaser, that makes him a bigger target so that like the target shifts to getting Ian out because he realizes that he and Kaser are quiet strategic threats, if that makes sense. And so if that didn't happen, then I dreamt it. But I also feel like that is something that is not impossible for Ian to make that connection with. And so I think that if Kaser stays, he does have some connections of people he can work on. And there's a part of me that's like, he actually doesn't really have to campaign for the votes, obviously. And it might come off as too desperate in some people's minds, even in a subconscious level, if he were to try to make these bonds with them now. So I wonder if he's thinking it actually makes more sense to try to have them form, quote unquote, more organically next week, hoping that he either wins power or if he sees the block again, that's where he can utilize it. But I just hope he doesn't see the block. If he sees the block again, I think he goes.
He's done. Yeah.
But
God, I hope he wins HOH next week. That would be so fun. So Davon, like I mentioned earlier, I'm docking her a lot of points this week. We really saw heavily on this episode on Sunday how much she just like tanked her trust in the alliance. Even more so than like we've been talking about, like Danny's in a little bit of danger. That's like so minimal compared to the amount of damage that Davon has done this week, just in the name of like safety this week that she really didn't even need, to be honest. And she's like totally justifying it on like, oh, I just wanted the costume, when like these are all stars except for David. These are all stars. Like these are people that know that like you're just like trying to get a cheap safety. And does she even need it? No, not at all. Janelle and Kaser are still in the house. You don't need it. And even if you were on the block with a Tyler HOH, first of all, that's a bigger problem than anything. Second of all, you would have the votes to stay. So I don't understand like why she spent so much social capital doing all of this. And it's so frustrating because on top of that, she like doesn't understand that like her and Bailey are like really on the outs and they're in trouble. So I think I gave Davon like an 8 last week. I'm giving her a 4 this week. Allison, what do you think?
Can we change the name of it? Big Brother 22 All Stars with David? Wait, can I start titling the show that?
All Stars and David.
Also, Libra's a liar, love Steven. Can that be
Yeah, and Josh has COVID.
And Libra's a liar, love Steven. We're just going to change that.
Josh has COVID.
Seriously. Yeah, everybody's got COVID. Everybody's got
Big Brother 22, All Stars, except for
David.
David.
Yeah.
Also, Josh has COVID, and Libra's a liar, love Steven.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Man, Davon really took me back a few steps this week with that BS, stupid ass freaking. I've played this game 3 times and I've never had a punishment. Davon, you are better than this. You're smarter than this. No, that was horrible. Nobody believes it. Nobody believes it.
Yeah.
It pained me.
Yeah. So what's your number?
Oh, I'm gonna give her a 4.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Sorry, Davon.
Beth, what do you think?
I want to give her a 5 because I do think it's a 50-50 if she stays or goes kind of thing, but I'm going to give her a 4 as well because I think that unfortunately her name is going around as a target for maybe even next week.
Yeah.
And she's not even aware of it.
And you mentioned before that, like, if they get on the block together, Davon and Bailey, Davon goes.
Davon's gone. And Davon, which is dumb of the house, to be honest. They would be smarter to get rid of Bailey, but they won't because featuring David, who is
I'm sorry.
also Josh has COVID.
Yeah.
Libra's a liar.
Yeah, and what hurts even more, guys, is that like Nicole is gonna vote Davon out again. Like she's gonna fuck her over again.
So here's the thing I'm hopeful for, okay? And I've noticed this with both Bailey and Davon in the previous season or seasons that they've played. They have a tendency to be really on one week and really off the next, and then really on one week. So next week's supposed to be a really on week for both Bailey and Davon. So I hope that this works out.
Yeah.
I hope so. So last but not least, we have Ian. I'm going to give Ian a 5. I think he's like very much in the middle of the road. There are some scenarios where he could be targeted, but I don't think he's like the immediate first threat to go next week. I just really need to see his positioning get better next week somehow. Do I have faith that it will? No, unfortunately.
I'm sorry, watching Allison drink out of that. It's so distracting. The straw is like the size of your nose, and it's just like
I'm almost done.
you look like you're drinking out of a giant like baby bottle. Like you're literally
I love that for her.
Next thing I know that you're gonna just tell the world that you also sleep with your mom and cuddle up with her at the age of whatever you are, 29 now. Wink.
Maybe Allison is one of Christmas's babies this week.
Oh my God.
There's that meme. There's that meme of Christmas feeding a crying Nicole. That's hilarious.
I love that.
Can we just talk about? I am in love with that punishment because I think it's like
so great.
it brought me way back to health class.
What is
so
the
great.
punishment?
What is it?
Yeah.
So she keeps getting like little star babies that she has to like carry with her everywhere and talk to and feed and stuff. And I actually saw Davon on the feeds like
That was
talking to one of the
for
kids.
that alone is why I wanted to bump Davon to a 5.
Yeah. Yes. She's just such good TV.
It really is.
Beth, what do you think about Ian?
I'm going to give him a 6. I actually feel comfortable placing him above someone like Danny even right now, because I do think that, well, maybe I won't. I think I'll put him a 5 actually, because I kind of found his conversation with Nicole Franzel a little cringy today, where it was like try hardy, you know, in nature, where he was like, yeah, no, they're going to come after us. And Nicole's like, wow, I really don't like that they think of us as a pair, which by the way, you know that she's just saying that in order to appease him. She doesn't actually she's not actually shocked at the fact that the two of them are considered a pair. But I think that Ian needs to figure out how to leverage his social capital a little bit more specifically with Nicole. And he also needs to be making more bonds. And I think the best person for him to do that with right now is, besides Christmas, which we know he's also got an in with, is Kaser. And I also think he needs to be working with Bailey. Like if he can get those, just think about if he could infiltrate Kaser, Bailey, Christmas, Nicole Franzel. Like the only thing he's missing is like Enzo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I want him to work a little bit more. I think it would be interesting to see him as an HOH.
He does have a good connection with Kaser, so that definitely helps him out.
Right. So, but I think I guess what I need him to realize is if it wasn't a dream, I just need him to realize like if Kaser ever goes, he's done. Yeah. Because Kaser will be the brain shield for him. Nicole already left. Like the nerds are going, so you gotta.
I think Ian could realize that too.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Allison, what do you think? What score are you giving Ian?
I'm going to give him a 5 because I agree with everything y'all said. I mean, he is in the middle. He's kind of straddling a line without really, I think, trying to. Mm-hmm. I think if he could reel in these underdogs of some, that aren't the cool, sitting at the cool kids table.
Right.
Was rally the troops. Let's get something going here.
Right.
I really think it would be beneficial.
And I know that she's been eliminated from the game, but I'd like to give Keisha a 10 purely just based off of her Twitter this week.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Dude, she told some guy that she played Big Brother before when oh my God, it gave me flashbacks of when I want to sit here and tell David, these people have been playing Big Brother when you're swimming around in your daddy's balls. Just stop and shit it up.
I just loved her calling out Holly so much.
That was so good. And everything that she said was true.
Everything she said was true. And here's the thing, we're not going to get into the whole group chat thing from BB21. I'm not here for that conversation. But I'm sure it was Allison's point last week. This is the difference between old school and new school players. Mm-hmm. It is exactly what Allison was talking about before. Don't enter the ring if you can't handle the fight. Yeah. And Keisha can handle the fight. You saw her birthday, okay? She can handle the fight.
Yeah.
100%.
And I love these memes going around because Tyler called old school boring. So everybody's been sharing these moments of just amazing characters in television that is just totally lacking in casting nowadays. So keep it up, internet. You're doing
and that's
God's
exactly
work.
The point. Okay, there's a reason why I hate BB20, even though strategically it's one of the better seasons of recent history. It's because it was so boring. Mm-hmm. Even the only thing that was interesting was when Faute could not figure out what was going on. And they were all the interesting characters. Tyler, you and your little crony crew were boring. Mm-hmm. You were boring. And here's the thing. The only person out of your crew that I think is anywhere near interesting after you've left is Rachel.
Rachel. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And
Rachel for all stars, honestly.
Yeah, and that's not me trying to be an asshole. I'm just genuinely saying they're the ones that have character to them, some kind of interesting thing that draws people in.
Right.
Yeah.
Who flipped?
So
with that, the safety suite has ended this week. Overall, I think it was a really good twist, and I liked the idea of it.
Maybe now they'll introduce the secret rooms.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
I can't wait for them to announce that Janelle gets to come back into the house because of America's veto.
I would love that.
America's veto twist. Everyone within
Nicole Franzel would cry so much, and I would be so here for that.
Yours just slipped down.
Oh my God. Could you imagine? America's veto would be you get to play the veto on the evicted house guest, then they bring the veto back into the house and they throw it at the head of the person that they want to go. And that knocks the person out. And then you just drag them by their feet out of the house. And then they're gone. That's America's veto. Thanks,
Honestly,
America.
Big Brother, do a drag around like Sequester does.
Yes.
Have Janelle get to drag somebody when she gets evicted on Thursday. Wouldn't you love to see that?
Know that
Come on,
she verbally
Nicole.
will drag somebody, but
Come on, Nicole.
She's
let's
like, come
go.
on, bitch, stop. You're going.
This ain't slipping out. This is real talk. Let's go.
oh man.
God, I would love to see
And
that.
the best part about that too is like if you ever did a sequester, it would have to be like, we're gonna reveal who voted for you.
Yeah.
And then you get to choose out of the people who voted for you, someone to go.
Feeling in the world when you're playing Sequester and they pull that shit.
Last point of news. Why don't we predict who we think is going to win HOH and predict what's going to happen next week? So I think that Kaser ultimately will go next week. I would say maybe I'm ready for a woman to win HOH. I could see like Christmas or Nicole Franzel winning HOH.
I'm gonna say Cody. For some reason, my little psychic brain.
That would be so bad for Cody.
Cody, female. I'm thinking Christmas.
What are you thinking, Beth?
I'm thinking. It's hard when you don't know what the competition is.
I wonder if we're going to have an endurance soon.
If there's an endurance competition, I could see like Christmas Danny doing well.
Danny is an endurance queen, so she could easily win that. She's won endurance HOHs 3 times across.
But I don't know if Danny would throw it.
I don't think she would, and I don't think she should.
I don't think she should
I think it would be a great timing. You know how we said last week she should throw the HOH? I think this week she should play it to position herself a little bit better out of this sticky like Tyler situation.
I'm going to manifest that Kaser wins.
Yeah, I want Kaser to win too, girl. Don't even
manifesting it.
Prayer
if I
circle.
believe it will happen, it will.
Let's everyone. We're going to pray. Are you ready?
Everyone, hold hands.
Prayer circle. Prayer circle. Okay, prayer circle. Jesus, Father in heaven, thou art. Yes, we, first of all, I just want to, point out that Tyler Lyons is not a virgin. Even though he made that chart, he has touched sex. Okay, everyone knows that. I just want to say. And on top of that, Jesus, we need Kaser to win HOH. I know we're not supposed to ask for personal things, but I just kind of put your
This
on
isn't personal, though. This
is
for
personal.
the world.
It's a necessity. It's for the world. It's for all the Big Brother fans. Like, we need royalty to show these little bitches, excuse me, Jesus, how this is done. We need you to help us pull out a win. Jesus, thank you for this. Amen. And yes.
Amen.
All right. And now I would like to pray to Satan.
Wait, we can't do a prayer circle. How do we do this?
Okay, so everybody, we're going to attempt to make a pentagram.
I'm making a swastika. How is that?
No, we're not doing that.
We're not doing that.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just crossing my heart.
Hold on. Let me just draw a pentagram here. That just hold on.
Sorry, I watched JoJo Rabbit too many times.
This isn't personal. It's for ratings business. That's right. Okay. Dear Satan, strike down on Nicole Franzel. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Lightning bolt from across the wall, thrown by Angela.
Actually, most of all, what we're hoping is whatever force there is out there. The end of the Leo moon just came to an end. It's Virgo season now. So there's a lot of astrological things that have happened. As Audrey Middleton told me the other day, the effects of literally the eclipse that happened in August 2017 just came to an end over the past couple days, which has made a huge shift in energy. So those that were really winning beforehand are going to feel like an end to what they were working on for the past few years. So maybe we will see something end, like the Slick Six.
Maybe. We'll see. But with that being said,
Not amen, because
thank you guys all for tuning in. We'll be back on Thursday to talk about the live eviction. My tweet was featured on Big Brother the last time Janelle was evicted, so I'm gonna try for that again.
What? You're on the show?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
On the bottom?
Yeah, on Big Brother 14, Janelle's eviction episode, my tweet was featured on the show. So I'm going to try to make that happen again. But regardless, we will be back after the eviction live on Thursday. So definitely check us out then. Like and subscribe our video, and also subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Give us a rating there. We would love to see that. And you can find me on Twitter at TLions. Beth, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at AugustaWind11. Yeah. You can also listen to, if you're a Drag Race person, specifically with Canada's Drag Race, you can listen. I cover it every week for Rob Has a Podcast with Liana Boris and Aman Adwin, as well as always a special guest. The class of 2020 has been amazing. So be sure to go to either Rob Has a website, download that, or you can watch it on their YouTube page.
And Allison, what about you?
Yeah, just subscribe to my weekly meltdown. You get notifications when we go live. Follow us on the we don't have a Twitter yet. Follow us on the Instagram, my weekly meltdown. Follow my cat, Finley Mitchell Kelly, on Instagram. Yeah.
And it is our goal, literally within the next couple of days, to get that Patreon link to all of y'all.
Yes.
So if you would like to throw us a couple of dollars, if you like what you see, to help support the show, help us grow, you can do so soon.
Yes. All right. We will see you guys on Thursday. Have a great rest of your week and wear a mask. Take care. Bye.